What's good, homies? It is December 12th, 2023. I'm your host, Dwayne Cofield of the weekly podcast, Drug Leaders to Businessmen. This is the weekly tap in, and I'm tapping in. What's good, homies? Oh, man, let me scoot up on y'all a little bit, get my camera together. Those who are listening, we'll do a little something this way. Hope all is well with y'all, man. There we go. Yeah, tapping in. What's good, homies? What's been up since the last time I seen you? What we've been working on, man. This episode right here, man. First of all, shout out to all y'all listening from all over United States, wherever that is, wherever you tapping in from YouTube. You already know, hit that notification button. If you are listening on Facebook, appreciate you. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the share button as well, man. We're trying to grow this audience so that we can spread the message, not for any reason besides getting the message out there, homie. No strings attached. I'm not selling you a book or a course. It's not happening. I don't have time for that. What's going on, Joe? Appreciate you tapping in as always, brother, as always. So, yeah, man, this episode is dedicated to one of my homies. And the reason why I'm dedicating this episode to him is because this cat, man, I swear, he just calls at the most random times. It's not even like, it just be like, and his advice is so on point and dope. I mean, just calls out of the blue and just be like, hey, homie, and it's always some A1. And this is always since we've been kids, man. I've been knowing this dude, let's see, over 30 years. You already know who you are, homie. Shout out to my homeboy James, dog. But he called me. He was like, man, I want to run this by you. I saw something on marketing. He always thinking about business, and he always thinking about, me, as it relates to business. And he's like, homie, I don't hear that in your voice. You know what I'm saying? I know something wrong. And I was frustrated because things weren't going at the pace that I expected things to go on certain things in my life, like our restaurant. So I'm pissed. I'm like, and whenever it's like that, God will send angels, homie. I swear. It is I promise you. When you sit there, you're like, man, and it be always you think it's like, man, it's the worst time to call me. And you like, nah, this is the best time to call. You know what I'm saying? And it was like divine timing. Tap right in, was like, well, you know what I'm saying? Hey, homie, you know what I mean? I ain't hearing what I like. I ain't hearing what I need to hear. And I get my energy from your energy too, homie. So I need you to get back to that. So because you telling me something and now I'm questioning, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, homie, and he checked me. And I was like, I mean, you don't know how much I appreciated that, homie. At that time, he like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Chill out. You tripping, you doing wrong. You know what I mean? I need this person. You know what I'm saying? Right now, you acting like this. That's what, because I used to call me Dewey. He was like, man, I need Dewey back. I don't need Dwayne right now. And it was just, and I put it out there because I think that we can all grow and learn from the circle that we keep around us. And the people that really, really appreciate you are gonna check you when they feel you out of, you know what I'm saying? What's going on, Dane? Appreciate you tapping in, homie. You know what I mean? But when you getting out of character, you should have partners and people around you that that get you back in line. And what I mean by the angels is God knows who to send, when to send them, and who you're willing to listen to. And that's the thing. Certain people would have called, I probably would have ignored the call. And I told him, I was like, I damn near ignored this call. I was like, but you don't call me for no reason. He was like, homie. I'm like, nah, you know what I'm saying? When you call, I know there's some weight to it, and I know God's involved. You know what I mean? So this episode is called Don't Panic When It Gets Ugly. This is episode number 19 of season 5, man. 5 seasons of this, homie. Whew. That is love, man. That is appreciated. That is something that I look forward to. You know what I mean? It's going beyond just, Hey, let's just sit there and talk. I'm like, man, nah, we trading game every week. Every week, somebody should be getting sharper, including me. You feel what I'm saying? And I use my everyday personal experiences as content so that I never run out. I never run out of content ever because every day I'm going through a different trial and tribulation. Every day I'm going through something new that I haven't experienced before. So I can either document it and get my Charles Darwin on, right? Document my journey to success or failure, whichever, and there is no such thing as failure. So my journey to success, period. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, um, when you're comfortable with the failure part of it, you know what I'm saying? When you're comfortable with the failure part, you understand that everything you're going through is the process. So I had gotten pulled over by not pulled over by the police, but one of my sons talking to him about the construction, and I just keep constantly getting frustrated. I'm like, man, I'm driving myself crazy. And I'm like, my wife's always calms me down, like it's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? And I had yesterday, I was tripping, I was upset, da, 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 da. And I got off the phone with her, and then the homie called. What's happening? What do I'm like, man, and was like, hey, told, hey man, go watch your videos. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, when you think about that, man, the game that you spend, sometimes you got to sit back and take your own advice. Sometimes you got to go watch your shit again and make sure that you doing the same things that you putting out there. And this is to prove to people that we're not immune to going through the motions just like everybody else, going through ups and downs. That's how we're able to even relate to each other. Because I know what you're going through. I know what you experience as a homie or as a professional. I know what you're going through. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I told the homie yesterday. I was like, you know what? This gonna be content for tomorrow. I said, because this ain't accidental. This is all divine. You coming through with your angel-like qualities, me experiencing a time where I'm experiencing doubt, you know what I mean? And homies coming through at clutch times. This is why it's so important to tap in with cats. You know what I'm saying? Tap in with your homies, tap in with your family. You don't know what people are going through mentally, so it's in your best interest. Sometimes even you like, man, I'm down. Tap in with somebody. Sometimes you need to get that kind of connection and energy in order to charge your battery, right? Your battery may be drained. You may be getting mollywopped all week. You know what I'm saying? Taking L's after L's after L's, which this week I was, and last week I was, and they're perceptual L's. You know what I mean? They're not always what we think they are. You feel what I'm saying? And sometimes it's there's a few things happening at that time, and I'm sitting there struggling, like, man, there's got to be a reason. I'm telling the homie, I'm like, homie, I can't figure it out, but there got to be a reason. There got to be truth to, or God wouldn't have me in this position. I just know that for a fact, and you got to have that faith, like, homie, I know God would not have me in this position to leave me hanging. He wouldn't take me this far to drop me off. Never has. But sometimes you need your homies or the people, you know what I'm saying, that you've motivated at times to come motivate you, shit. Period. Because you can't you ain't on all the time. You on as much as you can be, but shit, you gotta like, okay, let me and then see he tell man, don't you walk? Okay, well, why and remind you of what you're supposed to be doing. Because sometimes you get so caught up in the everyday that you forget your own medicine. You know what I'm saying? You forget you forget you got a tool bag. You up there tripping. Hey man, I got a tool bag. And sometimes cats need to remind you, like, hey homie, you got a tool bag. You know that, right? And this is what I do to the homies sometimes. Hey homie, you got a tool bag. I ain't giving you the tool bag. You already got the tool bag. I'm just reminding you you got one. And if you don't have one, add these couple things to it and make it a nice tool bag. But the homie come through reminding me like, "Hey, man, shit, you tripping. Man, it's gonna happen. I'm telling you it's gonna happen." And somebody speak that kind of life into you is what we all need. And if we ain't getting it, sometimes we got to become what we want in life. So if you ain't getting somebody to speak life into you, it's probably because you ain't speaking life into anybody else. So we got to get to the point to where, hey, man, I'm willing that reciprocal relationship starts with somebody's gesture. It starts with somebody's intention. So even if it's reciprocal, somebody had to get that popping to say, you know what, homie, let me speak life into you. Period. I believe in you. You know what I'm saying? And this is not cap. I see it. And sometimes it's like us on the football field, basketball field, somebody may recognize our talent from afar. May not even know we have it. We may not people understand, like, hey man, everybody looking at you like me. For what? But you out here performing, you out here doing things that other people ain't doing. But sometimes you lose track of that and you start to doubt yourself. You start to panic, right? When it gets quote unquote ugly, you start to be like, "Jeez, man, what?" And you let it get in your head. And what he told me was, "D, you tripping. You got 2 or 3 other businesses that you should be focusing on too." He said, "You probably missing that kind of shit." He's like, you probably need air in the tire. You probably did." And I was like, "Homie, I mean, out of this is but this dude does it all the time. I mean, constantly God got angels around. John do it too. That's on here. You know what I'm saying? Pull you over, check you. Why you ain't did your lot with the homie?" And I'm like, you know what I'm saying? That's the kind of circles we need. Like, hey, homie, this is a network. We got things going. Homies is relying on you. You know what I'm saying? This ain't something you can pick up and put down when you feel like it, man. We involved in this shit. We gonna go to the wheels fall off, and I'm committed, homie. I heard a cat tell a coach in Syracuse. He was like, "Man, I'm here till I'm finished. Till my daughter gets to the point to where she this age, y'all got me." And I love that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm committed to y'all showing you and being transparent. Like, hey, homie, this is what I'm going through. This is what the homie did. And this is how I am now. Real simple. You know what I'm saying? When you got those type of people, one who check on just they get a random itch. It is not a random itch. It's a God-driven itch to call you, to tap in with you, to say, hey, homie, and you never know. My homie Harvey like that too. He be calling me with random shit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, homie, you do, and you think it's random, right? Because these is cats I've been knowing for, like I said, 30 plus years. Homie, I grew up in San Diego, and I was in Phoenix with Giants, and we ain't never stopped being around each other. And them cats is, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate them. You know what I mean? There's nothing like having cats who understand you and believe in you to ask you those type of questions, right? Hey, homie, you going, okay, so when is this done? You know what I'm saying? They so used to you knocking shit down, they like expect it out of you. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing better, almost like with God, of having a successful expectation of someone. That's true belief. Like, homie, I know you get ready to pull it off. I'm just watching. You know what I'm saying? The homie pulled off some shit. You know what I mean? Got his own truck. What a how? Like, he was like, homie. So he come back pumping me up. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I'm loving this. This is what we need as brothers, as homies. And this goes for the sisters too. Speak life into your partners. You know what I mean? Even if it ain't your turn. I just did a post or something like that, man. I'm a root for a cat until it's my turn. Not to the point to where you're thinking you're not gonna get one, man. When it's your turn, it's your turn. So get your pom poms out and cheer for other homies. Just know the miracles are still popping, successes are still happening. So we don't need to be salty, even if our plate ain't got but a potential on it. It don't even have any vegetables or anything like that on that, right? It just has potential. And we can't sit up there and break our plate, right? Panic. Break this plate. Now I don't have shit to eat on, right? Because I panicked. Because I made these decisions. I cut somebody out. I flashed on such and such, man. I hit a corner, got pulled over. And that's when shit starts snowballing, right? When you panic, things go wrong, it starts to get a snowball effect. You start flashing on people, ruining relationships, not responding back to people, right? And all the enemy trying to do is make you lose focus. Lose focus, dog. Lose focus, and I got your ass. If I can get you to be confused and disgruntled and upset, and you're gonna miss the blessings that are right in front of you, right? And that's usually what God is trying to get you to focus on. What is in front of you, homie? My kid, he got an audition. He got his green belt yesterday. He did, you know what I'm saying? He was doing so much, and here I am focused on some shit that God got control of. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you missing your golden nuggets worried about somebody else's job. Hey man, you ain't doing that right. And you like, yeah, but you got a break. You on break and at lunch and you worried about somebody else's job. How they ain't doing it, that's none of your concern. None of your spiritual business, as Les Brown says. Right. And that's kind of what we do. We start panicking. We ain't gonna get ours. Oh shit. I gotta panic. I gotta put pressure. And I'm guilty of that. And all I'm doing is chasing my dream away. That's all I'm doing. Dream running. Like this nigga's excuse my I usually don't say it, but like this cat is aggressive. You know what I'm saying? He on my bumper. I can't even breathe. Like you don't want that reputation. And when you get that type of reputation with your dream, man, it's gonna invade you. And when it evades you, that's when you gotta come fall back and say, okay, you know what I mean? Let me step back. Let me take a pause. Let me back away and let my dream come to me. Right? Because when I panic, I start tripping. My blood pressure goes up, right? I start getting out of character. I start speaking foul to my kids, my wife, or anybody like that, right? Because I'm crispy. I'm salty. You know what I'm saying? And that's usually because expectations and disappointments. We had a whole episode on that, expectations and disappointments. And disappointments derive from expectations. So if you don't have these expectations and you roll with God, because only time we have expectations are when we try to tell God to do what kind of job we want him to do, as opposed to just asking for the blessing with no timeline. With no timeline, homie. That's asking for the blessing with no strings attached. But usually we want it during this time and this time, right? Because ego starts kicking in. And how does ego kick in? Everybody keep asking you about it. When the restaurant coming? D? When this, that? And it puts that kind of pressure on you. And now you feel like they have expectations, and now you develop your own. Well, we should be open. Everybody's asking us about it. And then you start tripping. And then you start going on this tangent. Oh, I need it. And guess what you're missing? What's right in front of you. And that's where the true blessing lies, is every little moment that's in front of your face. Enjoying and embracing that, as opposed to looking so far down the line and getting disappointed because the line ain't what it looked like. We seen that with basketball and football games. First, third quarter, fourth quarter comeback game looks completely different. So don't panic. It's when teams panic, right? Start fouling, start playing out of character, fights. You get rocked, bah. Somebody just crack you. You start panicking, throwing haymakers as opposed to getting that. Let me stick to my script. Jab, jab. You start, right? Going way off cue. And that's the key right there, right? Don't panic. When it gets ugly, it will get ugly. That's the thing. That is a promise, that's a guarantee. It's going to be ugly at some point. Right? But it's the person who has that equanimity, right? Who has that even kill, that Obama type swag, right? When nothing bothers me, you just see my hair getting grayer, right? Right? He seemed unfazed. You just saw the gray hair was going against, like, man, we over here stressed the F out, man. I don't know what he's doing. Cool, man. Well, the hair tells it all, right? So anyway, but what I'm saying, though, you have to have that calmness about yourself in order to think logically, right? Because when you get hit with something, say for instance, a punch or whatever the case may be, it throws you off. But if you stay on script, like, okay, I expected to get punched. I expected that to hurt. I know this cat can punch. What do I do now? Okay, what's my training? What's next? Okay, what can I do? Right? And this is the thing, maybe some things that you should have been more informed about and you wouldn't be as disappointed. So now it's like, okay, get on your stuff. So now I'm on the phone with guys and things are moving along, hopefully, and I got some backup, like being a homie talked about. So it's gonna get done one way or another. And I love the confidence of the people that are around me, because when they're confident in what I can do anything. Not that I need their confidence. And that's another thing too. You have to be well, you don't need that validation from the public. But at the same time, you need people that are speaking life into you that are around you, especially the close ones, because they're going to be the ones that see you when you're down. They're going to be the ones that see you when you come in the house. You're like, man, I done got my tail whooped this week. I'm taking L's. I done lost like 2 laptops, getting worked on my laptops. This one barely hanging on. I'm like, man, I still have to produce. I still have to deliver. Right. I saw a guy who's a TikToker I think he lived in Reno Valley, something like that. But he showed his first apartment. He's like, man, I started making content in this apartment here. Now he got this big giant house that he makes content in. And I was like, I love it because he didn't trip. I got to do what I got to do where I am. I'm not tripping. And sometimes you have to do that. What can you do with where you're at right now? Right? Don't go too far in the future. Don't trip too much about the past because those things will bring angst and depression. And you don't need either one of those. You need to be thinking clearly. That comes with rest. That comes with walking in nature. Don't lose the track of always focusing on business. There has to be some downtime. And what I'm discovering is that a lot of times your best ideas do come when you're not trying, when you're not applying pressure, when you're focused on something else, when you go do what God intended you for you to do, which isn't sweat his ass. You know what I'm saying? That's not what his intentions is to sweat him. And we have to be comfortable with that, right? We have to be comfortable with God's timeline. That's usually when we're the discrepancy comes in is when we present our timeline and say, hey God, this is when we think we should have this. And God says, well, I have to prepare a lot of stuff. I have to put a lot of things in place so that you don't lose this thing. So you have to be patient with me. When it's ready, I'll let you know. And that's a tough gig. That's a tough gig to sit there and hold on to something that says somebody says, when it's ready, I will let you know. Oh my God, especially for those who are impatient like myself, it's driving us freaking nuts. You gonna let us know? Oh my God. And I think that's where it really, really, truly comes in is that our impatience is trumping our desires from God. So we want this thing, but we want it on our timeline. And that's where these expectations, like, man, we got to keep rolling with what God has. Period. No reason to, and like I said, I'm talking to myself, and it's a hard thing to do because as A-type personalities, we want control. And we think we can control, especially us coming from the D game. Oh, you can't tell us nothing. We go get a double up and turn it into a half a burn. So how can you tell us anything? We took our destiny into our own hands. It's hard to tell us anything. We know how to cook work. We can blow it up. We can get active in any city. So our egos have us thinking that we could do all kind of shit, right? In a short amount of time by ourselves. That's the crazy part about it. So our ego has us to believe in this thing that we can control this, and when we get really down to it, we don't have that much control. Not over these big desires and goals and dreams. We don't have a lot of control. We can work towards them, but it's up to God of when it actually gets delivered. We can't. There's no Amazon. There's no tracking. There's no none of that. When it gets delivered is when it gets delivered. Crazy thing. And I'm like, when? And God's like, I'll send somebody to tell you when, so you can calm your ass down. And he sent the homie. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it works. But most of the time, I'm gonna tell you what one of the problems is we ignore those. We think somebody just talking. We think somebody just whatever. We kind of blow those God messages off, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. When we blow off those God messages, he got to send more. And he's like, man, okay, well, shit, I guess you just going to take the test. I done tried to send you note after note after note, and you seem to not really be thinking that this is real messages from me. And this is where a lot of people, oh man, yeah, you talking that religion? No, I'm not. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I am not talking that religion. What I'm talking about is personal experience. Trust me on that one. Everything I tell you guys, I'm talking from experience. No jokes. So if you hear my message, and a lot of times it's not what you think it is, it's not how it should be delivered. But if you dissect my message and listen to me, it is straight God based and God driven and based on 100% experiences. So, like I tell people all the time, man, I said miracles didn't stop back then. They are not done. God didn't stop operating. God didn't stop moving the needle on us. It's not done. It's done when we start to panic and we start to create destruction so that the enemy doesn't have to do much work. When we start to self-destruct, and we self-destruct when we panic, right? They tell you the first thing in swimming is don't panic. What do people first thing they do is panic when you should relax and fall on your back. You're going to float, at least for a while, right? You know what I'm saying? But if you don't have the proper training, you won't know what to do. This is why it's so important to really understand the game and understand what you're getting into prior to you getting into it. What are the expectations? What is how long does this take? And and get other opinions and you know what I mean? Get all these things so that you don't have these unreasonable expectations and you're driving yourself up a freaking wall. You know what I'm saying? So the holidays are coming, right? People are tripping. People who don't have the money that they think they wanted to have or whatever and gifts. Relax on that, homie. Do not panic. Period. Things will work out. I promise you that things will work out. They may not work out exactly the way we wanted them to, or what our expectations lead us to believe, but they always, always, always work out. There's never anything that God hasn't given me. And if you ask the right way, you ask, not try to shortcut it. A lot of times we try to shortcut things. These important lessons by buying stuff and trying to do this and that. Man, learn and take your time with life. It's good. Trust me, dog. And I needed that. You know what I'm saying? I needed that and I needed to give y'all that. Like, hey, man, when the time comes, the angel will come out of nowhere and tell you what's up. Message delivered straight from God. And you can't pay attention to who the messenger is, right? Because they're random, right? But there's always one or two that will always come through with the gifts from God directly from them. And you're like, man, what the hell you homie? I promise you. And if you've had that experience, man, put that shit in the chat, please, so that other people can understand, right? And I'm not trying to make y'all religious. You guys don't hear me talk about a Bible. I don't spit verses. I don't do none of that stuff. All the thing I talk about is God, right? And just the power that He's shown me in my life. Period. And if you can dig it, you can dig it. That will include the weekly tap in for this week. So what I am listening to, I've been off of Joseph Murphy lately. He talked about miracles and it's pretty dope. So let me show you. I got a little subscription to, I think it's Audible. So let me pull it up. I always want to give you all a little something to rock with, to leave y'all with. I still got 2 credits available, man. That's crazy, man. So these are my gifts to you guys, man. The more I can actually do in terms of sharing game, what? Sport my shirt today, man. Shout out to Coach Pack, man. This is my son's Pop Warner team. Well, not Pop Warner, Snoop League team. They made it to the Super Bowl. So shout out to them. They supposed to be playing the Nationals as well. So shout out to Snoop Dogg and the Snoop League. But anyways, so these are the 2 that I'm listening to right now. Believe in Yourself and Miracles of the Mind. These now, if you get the Amazon subscription, I think these are free. So there's a lot there's if you listen to books, if you're into those type of things like myself, not saying that everybody has to be, but if you're into those things like myself, I think that this would be advantageous to you. Invest in things that will make you better and the ability to make you better. Now, if you don't have the budget, the library system has done an amazing job of putting a lot of audiobooks on their systems. You just have to download an app on your phone, get your library card, and you can have access to it. I think sometimes they even have the national library. So don't let things stop you. Don't let the budget stop you from actually learning or pursuing things that you want to listen to, the 4 agreements, anything like that. You might be able to find at your local library. All right. But again, man, I can't express what I feel for you guys, my audience, man. We do this every single Tuesday right now. May change back to Monday, but this is the weekly tap in, and I'm tapping out.